This is your all-new 2021 Nissan Versa. It's been gone for a few years, but Nissan decided to bring it back. I'm with the top trim SR, so let's jump right into it. Quirks, Quirks, and Irks. With the SR, you do get your LED headlights. You still get halogen turn signals, and there are fog lights on this trim as well. You get the V-Motion grille, and it just adds that nice bit of flair, and it's part of Nissan's design language. And let's give you a quick look at the front end. And you can see the edges of the V-Motion grille just go up along the hood for that nice sculpted line. Looks really, really sharp. And for a subcompact car, it's a lot bigger than what some compacts used to be. And if you're like, hey, doesn't this look like a Sentra? And if you're thinking, doesn't the Sentra look like an Altima? It kind of, just they all follow the same design language, and we'll get to that as we keep moving around. So with the SR, you get 17-inch wheels, SV gets 16, and S gets 15. Rim design, not too bad. Doesn't need to be overly flashy, but they do look good. On the top trim SR, which is what we have here, you have your turn signals integrated into the side mirrors, and you don't get that on the SV or on the S trim. You get the floating roof design, and that's kind of why I lean towards the, hey, this is a smaller version of the Sentra, and the Sentra is a smaller version of the Altima. I'm going to give you a rear quarter look and just show you how big it is for a subcompact car, and looks can be deceiving. Now, the Sentra is obviously a little bigger than this, but this is the entry-level vehicle into Nissan's lineup, and I don't use entry-level as a shot at all, but it is their most affordable vehicle. So we'll get on the pricing once we get on the drive portion, but just moving around the rest of the vehicle, another consistent look here with a cool boomerang-shaped tail lights, halogen turn signals for the rear. Just that nice, clean look. I've always liked the way that Nissan's done their new design language. It just looks really sharp. Opening up the trunk, 425 liters of cargo space. It's pretty big for a subcompact car. I can fit lots of stuff in here, and on the Nissan commercials they have with a bunch of luggage and a huge, massive, full-size suitcase and a few other small things. And you also get space off to the left and to the right. Sorry, off to the left and to the right. I want to back up for a sec just to show you how wide the trunk opening is. It's pretty much 90 degrees, so there's a lot of stuff you can put in there. And just going back here for a quick moment, the actual opening from left to right is fairly large. So well done there, Nissan. Let's quickly close her up. I'll give you a quick look at the tailpipe, which you can't see, but you can see part of the smoke coming out. It's right there. It's not very obvious, but it gives it a nice clean look left to right as well as top down. Taking a look at the inside of the Versa, starting with the rear seat. Again, I sit all the way up, I sit all the way back. So there is a surprisingly decent amount of space, again, considering how far back the seat is, and you can see just how far it is from the steering wheel. So it's not too bad. The tunnel is fairly low, so the middle passenger does have a little bit of leg space without being kind of overly crowded. Rear seats, not too bad. They're fairly comfortable, again, considering the class of vehicle it is. Bit of an irk, there is no cup holder and armrest that falls down from the center seat. You do get a cup holder there, as well as one in there. And also, another quick thing, 3 USB ports, 2 for your rear passengers. Or 1 for the front passenger, 1 for the rear, and there they are right in the middle behind the front cup holders. So let's close that up. Taking a look up front, nice flat bottom D-shaped steering wheel, great for ingress and egress. Because this is the SR trim, you get the cool orange highlights along the thigh bolsters as well as the side bolsters. And right down the middle, you get the orange single stitching here, but you get double stitching, where is it? Right there. There it is. And a few other places throughout, like just surrounding the infotainment system. So let's go in. Actually, before we go inside, I want to talk about the seats. So they're Nissan zero gravity seats. Thigh bolsters, good, not great as far as size goes. But the side bolsters, that's really, really thick, really, really strong. Definitely keeps you in place and very, very comfortable. All right, start-stop button is just to the top of the gear shift. I'll show you what the graphic looks like. Cool little graphic there. For a subcompact car, the graphics on the dashboard are wonderful, and the fact that there's a digital dash available with this Versa is just astounding. Again, for the price point and the class of vehicle, Nissan has definitely made a huge value proposition for potential buyers. So you can scroll through that and get all sorts of different information, and that's all done through there. So whether you want your safety systems or the audio or your fuel consumption, all sorts of different things on the information side. There's your trip computer, there's some of the driving aids as to what's active and not activated. Really, really nice, easy to see at night, easy to see during the day. Again, it's so many options here, and the graphics are just top-notch. Well done, Nissan. Standard stuff for the audio and cruise control controls. On the steering wheel, got that nice orange stitching, again, only on the top trim SR. Infotainment, it's typical Nissan, so it's easy to use, easy to pull information out of. I like that it's both a touchscreen and you've got your hard touch buttons along the side, plus dials on the bottom corners of each one. HVAC, I've always liked manufacturers that do more with less. Everything you need is here. Notable absence, no heated steering wheel, but you do get a 2-stage heated seat, which heats up incredibly quickly. It's been I think -7, -8, so not frigid by any means, but the seat heats. I always mess that up. The seats heat up very quickly. So CarPlay and Android Auto on the top trim SR, which is this, and the SV, not on the base model. A little bit of storage, and an iPhone 10 can fit perfectly without any wiggle from front to back. Problem here is if you plug it in for CarPlay and Android Auto, you get that weird kink because an iPhone 10 again fits perfectly this way, but the cord will kind of bend up a little bit like that. So just put it on an angle if you are going to do it that way. Or maybe drop it down in here, which is a good segue into what's next. This, you can't really put much. You can put a phone here, but the edges are not quite deep enough to keep it from moving. Get your cup holders, and here's a bit of an irk. No closed storage back here like you would usually see. I put my sunglasses there just to show you the depth of it. So you can put stuff in here that won't move around, but the workaround for that is the huge glove box, considering what size and what class of vehicle this is. So I've loaded it up with stuff. So I have a glove, I have another glove, I have my toque, I have my wallet, I have a GoPro, I have a mount. Plus, there's already a really thick owner's manual in here. So just because Nissan didn't give you storage underneath your right elbow, put everything in the glove box, everything absolutely fits. And if you toss the owner's manual in the trunk, you'll have even more space. On the road with the 2021 Nissan Versa, perk, you can get a 5-speed manual with the base S trim. I don't think anyone's going to buy it, but it's cool that Nissan offers it. So under the hood, it's a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine. You get 122 horse and 114 pound-feet of torque. And if you don't want the 5-speed manual, you get Nissan's Xtronic CVT. Power delivery, pretty good considering it's a subcompact car. Now, it's not lightning fast, but there's no issues getting on the highway, and it's easy to maneuver, and there's plenty of pickup to get you where you're going. Now, as far as driving dynamics go, because it's a sedan, it's got a lower center of gravity, so you get a bit more of a connected to the road driving feel. At least that's what I found with my time with the Versa. And again, being a subcompact car, it's easy to drive, it's easy to park, it's again easy to maneuver. Backup camera, really high res, and I'm proud of Nissan for not skimping out on that. And it's something that you use at least once a day, I would think, if not a few times a day, because you should be backing into your parking spots. Just gonna leave that little gem there. Let's talk about standard safety. Why? There is so much of it. There's a list on the screen, and I'll be quiet for a couple of seconds while you take a look at it. Right? Look at all that stuff that every single Versa gets. If you want blind spot monitoring and if you want rear cross traffic alert, you gotta jump up to the SV or the SR trim. Both have it. But the fact that Nissan has taken so much care to put all these standard safety systems in a subcompact car that starts around $15,000 is incredibly impressive for me. Seats are very comfortable, and there's a nice open, airy feeling in the cabin, despite not having an option for a sunroof. The headliner is it's like a light gray, better than black for me, because something without a sunroof should have a light colored headliner, just so you don't get that claustrophobic kind of closed in feeling. Everything's easily accessible within reach. So right now I'm touching the top of the infotainment system. And again, I'm sitting as far back as I can. Steering wheel controls, nice, easy to use. And as far as going through the information on your dashboard, again, very, very easy. And Nissan has made this quite user-friendly, and there's not really a lot of digging. Just to jump back, maybe 30, 40 seconds back into the driving aspect of it, I have put it in sport mode a few times. You feel the difference a little bit, but I don't think many people will use it. I think people will just go straight from park to drive and just kind of keep it there. A bit of an irk is I wish the L gear for low wasn't there. I don't think many people, or any people for that matter, are actually going to end up using it, but that's just me. Talk about fuel consumption. So on Nissan's 41-liter fuel tank with 87 octane in liters per 100 kilometers, it is 7.4 on the city streets, 5.9 on the highway, and your blended total comes out to 6.7. Not too bad. I'm a little lower than the average of 6.7. I've done a blend of about half city, half highway. Now, due to the pandemic, I can't have anybody in the car with me, so it's been just me. I haven't had anything in the car, so it's generally lighter than it would be had I had cargo or another passenger or doing only city driving. But I'm relatively happy with the fuel consumption figures. Let's talk about the armrest and how it's an irk for me. This is with my arm on the armrest. You can see there's very little gap between my cheek and my shoulder, and it's just a little on the uncomfortable side. I'm gonna stop the car and kind of show you why that is. So here's your seat back, here is your armrest, and they work in tandem. So as your seat goes back, the armrest goes back like that. So right now I'm in a comfortable seating position. I'm going to take my manual seat, because they're all manual, and just straighten it up a lot. This is very uncomfortable for me for a driving position, and now my arm is on the armrest, and you can see there's a fairly decent gap between my cheek and my shoulder. However, as I put the seat back a little bit and put my arm back on it, now I'm not contorting my body or doing anything intentional, it's just the way my body falls. You can see that there is much less of a space between my cheek and my shoulder, and here's my arm off the armrest, and you can just see how much that drops right there, and it's a lot more comfortable. So what I do is I just put it, actually, can we get it in the shot? Yeah, there it is right there. So I put it all the way up. I put a water bottle, so a reusable water bottle in the back portion of the storage, put a small towel on top of it, and what that does is that gives me somewhere to rest my elbow. It's incredibly affordable. I think it's a few bucks for one of those bottles. And I don't like having my right elbow just kind of fall and just float there. I like having something for it to rest on. Overall, I'm really happy with the Nissan Versa. It's well equipped, it's well priced, it looks really, really sharp. Driving dynamics are comfortable, and it's easy to drive, easy to park. And for me, that's what I'm looking for in a vehicle. I'm looking at what it's like on day-to-day driving. The side mirrors fold in manually. You've got to just push them in. But if you're in a condo or somewhere with a tighter parking spot, or you've got to park next to some jerk who just parked like that instead of like that, you definitely have the flexibility for it, both with the size of the vehicle and the manual folding mirrors. I think that it's a smart move, and it's far enough distance from the Sentra that it won't jump into Sentra sales, and Sentra sales won't suffer because of the Versa being here. And if you're wondering why the Versa is here at all, with Nissan discontinuing the Micra, they needed a new entry point for buyers to get into the Nissan brand. And if you're wondering why they didn't do the hatchback or crossover approach, Nissan's already got a lot of those. There is the Kicks, and there's the Qashqai, and there's the Rogue. And I think if they made the Versa into a hatchback / crossover, it would completely compete with the Kicks, because the Kicks is their entry-level crossover. That's going to wrap it up for the 2021 Nissan Versa. If you've got any questions on the vehicle, let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to get you answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate the support, and feel free to subscribe and tell somebody about the channel if you haven't already. Be well, be healthy, be safe, and I will see you in the next review.